Serious, Reddit, what's your scariest, most disturbing true story? Serious replies only. Not nearly as serious, but a little creepy. My neighbor is an old lady. She comes outside once in a while to chat with passerbys and garden. The first conversation she had with my dad, she complimented the painting he has hanging in his bedroom. No big deal, she probably saw us moving it in, or glimpsed it at some point before we got curtains. But then she meets our dog and says, well, he's much scarier through the window, isn't he? Again, NBD pushing aside blinds to stare outside. She comments on things like this often, asking us why we didn't walk our dog that morning or when we got a new sofa, but she's just an old lady, right? She's probably bored and outside a lot. Then she meets me. She swears she's already met me, but I had never seen her before in my life. She asks me how I like my room and tells me about the girls who had it before me. Weird, but okay. She rubbed me the wrong way, but I don't really mind, she's fairly easy to avoid. Or so I thought. As I was taking, I happened to glance over and see her staring at me through the window. She lowers the blinds when she sees that I saw her, but is peeking through them watching me. Later, I go to the kitchen and see her again watching me very intently through the window. Our blinds were slightly open to let light in. Then upstairs in my parents' room, there's a window in their bathroom. I see her again as I'm replacing the towels, watching. The more I looked for her, the more I saw. She was watching basically all the time. Not only from her window, she sits in her car and watches at her porch and watches. She slowly walks down the street and watches us literally all hours of the day. And she does it to her other neighbors, and she did it to the people who had our house before us. Everyone knew to keep your blinds and curtains shut at all times, otherwise you can guarantee she watches you. It freaked me the hell out. Look on the bright side, no one is ever going to rob you. Recently a friend and I were swapping our favorite horror movies. We were childhood friends that grew up in the same Detroit suburb. I was thinking about an incident that had happened when I was in 2nd or 3rd grade, 30 years ago, and she says out of the blue, I don't know if you remember this, but the police started patrolling our neighborhood when we were in 2nd or 3rd grade because when I was walking home from school, 2 men in a blue pickup truck rolled down the window next to me and said, hey girl, you need a ride home, and one tried to grab me. I took off running, tearing through yards, and I told my mum, who called the cops and walked with me to the bus stop after that. I confessed that I was thinking about a time when my cousin Sean recently passed away, so he's been on my mind. Also, he was really smart, much smarter than I found the neighborhood like kids did in the 80s. This blue pickup truck pulled up to us and one of the 2 guys asked us to hop in for a ride. Sean said no thanks and instructed me to sneak into a neighbor's back porch, luckily unlocked, and stay down. I whispered I was afraid we would get in trouble for not asking. Sean, not the brightest kid, I would rather die than break the rules, I guess, and Sean goes, stay here and hide. Act like we went inside because we live here. One of the 2 guys got out of the truck and went into the yard to look for us. We laid low. About 15 minutes later he left. I look back on it now and think what a close call. We lived near the area of the Oakland County child killer, though in a much poorer neighbor than he targeted, and I've spent the last few nights reading about the case and thinking about that blue truck. I was on a backpacking trip on the Appalachian Trail, and my dad and I stopped at one of the many public cabins. We set our bags down, and joined the campfire. It was just us and a middle-aged Asian couple. We begin talking and the sun sets, so we don't expect anyone else to come. Nevertheless, this huge guy with long sat back down under the awning, and joins us at the fire. He was no less than 6 feet 8 inches, extremely muscular, and had his hair tied back into a ponytail. Imagine a more muscular Geralt from The Witcher. We start talking and he seems very friendly. Then, My dad, are you from? No response. My dad repeats the question, thinking the guy didn't hear him. No response. The Asian guy asks the question, and suddenly, the big guy explodes yelling, I don't know. I don't fucking know. He, then, takes out a huge Bowie knife and a whetstone, and starts sharpening it. All of us decide to pack our stuff and book it to the next cabin, which was about 7 miles away. It was a walk, but we eventually made it there, and there was a dirty hippie dude already there. He stunk like hell, but was harmless. We stop at the campfire, hang out for a bit, then I see a reflection out of the corner of my eye. I turn around and see the big, silver-haired guy standing in the tree line, spying on us. At that moment, I nearly shat my pants, because there was no way all of us could take this guy on. He was built like a WWE wrestler, and we were all under 6 feet. I let the other people know, and the Asian guy took out a revolver, and told the man to go the fuck off. Big guy stands there for a moment, and silently walks off into the woods without making any sound. We agreed to have someone keep watch. Since the Asian guy had a gun, he volunteered while we slept. In the morning, I was so glad big guy didn't come back, because Asian man fell asleep. That shit still gives me chills. TL, Doctor run into large, creepy man on Appalachian trailer, who follows us until someone pulls a gun on him. I always said if I was going to be a serial killer, I'd do it on the Appalachian Trail. When I worked at a call center once, I noticed a creepy-looking guy would follow me to work about 3 times in 1 week. The fourth day, I was looking out for him and I saw him walking towards me, so I hurried towards the subway as if I was trying to get there before he did. He ran on front of me, to wait for me in the subway, but I doubled back and ran the other way instead. When I got to work, I was told that a female toilets of our building by a homeless drug addict in his 50s, that had been hiding in one of the toilet cubicles in the ladies' toilets. I said, oh God, I wonder if that's the guy that's been following me to work every day this week? And the police, who had already been called, took me downstairs to look through the window. Guy that was standing outside about to be put in the police car. It was. Nobody was supposed to be able to use the lift, elevator, without a card, but there was building work being done and he'd managed to walk in behind one of the builders without being noticed. Another friend of mine was raped in a public toilet, late at night, when he was hiding in the women's toilets and he kicked in the door of the toilet cubicle that she was using. I have 2 young sons, and if they need to use a public bathroom now, I always take them in the ladies with me. I never let them use the male bathrooms on their own. I always take them to the women's bathroom and then stand outside the cubicle and wait for them. A few weeks ago, I was walking my dog in a park near my home and noticed a man looking at us. My dog is unusual, so often attracts attention, and I thought nothing of it. The park is at the top of it, and I live down the bottom. I had headphones in and walked home, about a 10-minute walk. Just as I was putting my key in the door, I heard "excuse me," and I turned around to see the man from the park. He said he had followed me from the park in his car and had been trying to get my attention. I thought maybe I had dropped something, but he started asking my name and whether I worked or was a student. There's a UNI nearby. He then told me his name and his life story, and I asked him what he wanted. He said it would be nice for us to get to know each other. I said my boyfriend wouldn't be too. Said, oh, okay, you're taken, and walked away. I was a little creeped out, but then the more I thought about it, the worse I felt. Why did he follow me home down a road in a car and wait to see where I live if he just wanted to get to know me? He could have beeped the horn or anything to get my attention. I reported it to the police and I've never seen him again, but I'm so much more paranoid about who is around me when I'm walking home now. Myself and 6 friends, aged 18-28, mixed European group, were on a 5-day river canoe trip up a tributary of the Orinoco around Merida in Venezuela in 1998. Our guides were an older, 60s, rough-looking German guy and a slightly younger but shifty-looking Orinoco Basin Indian. One of our group knew fluent German, but for some unexplained reason, didn't share with the guide that she could speak it. Later told us she'd be dude making comments to her that no one else could understand. We were 3 days in, roughing it in hammocks on the side of the river, not having seen a village for at least 8 hours. The guides kinda kept themselves to themselves after dinner, which was fine, but this evening they were a bit further away and we could tell they were gushing in a mix of German and local dialect. Suddenly, the German girl in the group turns white and looks terrified, and it takes us a few minutes to calm her down. She explained she heard the German guy talk about making sure the others will be at the place and they will have the guns, and that the crocodiles will get rid of the guys and the girls will go with them to some village the day after next. We kinda freaked out, but decide that being alone with these two dudes days from anywhere in the middle of the fucking rainforest, we were pretty much trapped. We decided on a plan, which, fortunately, our way. Early the next day, we decided that the next time we saw another canoe expedition pass us, we would essentially shout and scream at them that we were being kidnapped and needed help. Fortunately, a 4-canoe group came past and we enacted our plan. Our guides immediately got the fuck out of there, didn't even protest about our crazy accusations or anything, other than to pull a sawn-off 12-gauge from under a blanket and pointed at us to stop us chasing them, which kinda validated to us that they were planning to kill/traffic us, and they didn't hang around to get caught. We got taken to the nearest village a few hours down a branching tributary, where we explained the situation to the local police and some soldiers that were on exercise or something. Turns out there was a suspected serial killer operating out of the Maracaibo area targeting tourists going into the forest, active since 1996. I was never able to corroborate any of the info we were told by the police using any Western media source or internet searches. We still occasionally email each other about our close call, but it's been 20 years and we've moved on with our lives. I've never told family or my wife, and I don't think else ever told more than a handful of people. Wow. Gut instinct is powerful, but secretly knowing a language